Homeownership feels increasingly out of reach for many American families. Home buyers need an annual income of roughly $113,000 to afford a median-priced house.
Buying a home for the first time has never been and should never be easy, but it absolutely should be easier. And there are ways that we can do that. The affordability crisis for first-time home buyers. I'm going to explain why it's a problem. There are more factors contributing to it than either side of the current argument is giving credence. And I want to lay out a 6-point plan, a solution. And you can let me know if you think I've missed anything or if you disagree with any of my proposed solutions here. So let's set this up first. There's been a gap between home prices and incomes, and that's been growing since the early 2000s. I mean, it's well documented.
The barriers to buying a home in the U.S. are getting higher.
Homeownership feels increasingly out of reach for many American families.
In the old pyramid of the American dream, owning a home sat at the very top. Years of runaway costs, turbocharged by a rogue Wall Street and a distorted housing market, have priced working families out of the American dream entirely.
New data shows a growing portion of the U.S. is becoming unaffordable for people looking to buy a home.
More than 75% of homes across the U.S. are unaffordable as the gap between wages and home prices widens.
Home buyers need an annual income of roughly $113,000 to afford a median-priced house.
Now, I can already see the comment section breaking out into the war that it always does. Okay? You'll have one group saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And the other side saying, okay, boomer, you don't know what it's like. That's what's going to take place. Here's my position. And I'm going to make what I would argue is a pretty airtight case. Buying a home for the first time has never been and should never be easy, but it absolutely should be easier. And there are ways that we can do that. So both sides do have an argument on this. And I think both have selfish interests at heart. Both do. Older people in their homes, they want to see their homes increase in value. I understand that. Younger people are saying that's what's pricing us out. And all homes have skyrocketed, nearly all homes, in value recently in a way that is not in line with historical context. Let me give you the cold hard numbers, okay? The USA median home prices. All right. So in the 1960s, 70s, they were about 3 or 4 times the median household income. You could pay that off much more quickly than today. In 2024, 25, it's 7 times the median household income. 10 times that in big cities. And by the way, you can't say that this is a result of unfettered capitalism because it's actually worse in other countries around the world. Certainly the most comparable places like Canada, Australia, the UK. It's worse. Where they would tend to lean more left, as they would tell you, as far as social safety benefits, all of that. So let's first set the stage. Yes, it's true. From the 1950s to now, the average square footage of a home has more than doubled with way more amenities. That's true. More bathrooms, central air conditioning, 2-3 car garages are standards. Your parents didn't have that. Those were considered luxuries. So that's true. So when people say, why don't you just forego that? They would have a point, except for the fact that it's not possible in many instances. So why? Well, let me give you a few reasons, okay, that prices have sort of decoupled from wages. Construction costs, right? Increased competition from investors, illegals, foreign buyers, regulations that also increase costs and incentivize McMansions over starter homes, high interest rates. Let's go through them one by one. First contributor here, number one, the cost of construction has increased across the board. This is something that older generations may not be aware of. There's a construction worker shortage, right? That's one contributing factor. In 2024, there was a shortage of 500,000 construction workers. That's about $10 billion worth of delay costs, 19,000 fewer homes built. You could also argue that that's been spearheaded by the left because they've told everyone to go to college and fewer people want to go into construction. I used to do that. It's a summer job with Johnny Boy. Also, material costs skyrocketing. The price of construction materials from 2016 to 25, they've gone up by about 46%. That has exceeded overall inflation since COVID. So this is an industry, this is a sector that is hit worse than others. That's true. Increased costs. Number two, key fact here, institutional investors and foreign buyers entering the game. It's not the only fact. It's not the only contributing factor, but it's an important one and one that boomers and older generations didn't have to contend with. So from 2000 to 2024, the percent of low-price homes bought by institutional investors, it went from 10% to 26%. And they turn a lot of them into rentals. And they raise the prices for buyers. That's a problem. That alone changes the market a whole bunch along with the increased costs. Foreign buyers, flood markets like Miami. In the last 2 years, 52% of new construction, they were sold to foreigners.
Wow.
That also brings us to illegals, drive up rental rates. Trump, the deportations that he's carried out, prove it. So since President Trump 2.0, apartment vacancy rate is now at 7.2%. That's the highest ever. Rents dropped the last 5 months. That's the steepest drop in 15 years. Also, a lot of illegal. So that's just rent. That's what we can actually monitor, right? And it takes a while. There's a fuse with home purchases. There are illegal aliens purchasing homes. Same thing with overall inflation. Well, get rid of tens of millions of people who don't really pay for it because they're living a subsidized life, and that changes it. So get rid of people who have no business being here and aren't contributing tax-wise in a way that is comparable to native-born American citizens. That changes it. So institutional investors, foreigners, illegal aliens, skyrocketing costs. This brings us to key fact number 3. Regulations, local regulations and municipalities that incentivize McMansions over starter homes. What do I mean? They make money off of property taxes. They have a vested interest in increasing revenue. It is better for most municipal governments if home prices are higher. Everyone has an interest. Everyone who is in the market or everyone who collects revenue from the housing market currently has a vested interest in keeping prices high and seeing them increase. And I get that if you're in a home. I understand that. But couldn't you be okay with, just seeing your home increase in value as it did historically and not double in value in 3 years? If you accept that it's kind of been artificially created. So let's go to local governments. So regulations, red tape, they account for an average right now about $94,000. That's a fixed price for each home. Okay, there are compliance costs too that are astronomical. So think about that. You take the construction materials, you have a $94,000 base price. You've seen a 46% inflation in construction materials costs. If you're a business, you're building homes, well, hold on a second. Our baseline now, our break-even point is, let's say, $300,000. And we really don't want to sell a home for less than $400,000. You're not going to be creating a home that can be sold for $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 when your fixed price just in red tape is $94,000 alone. So those companies aren't going to be making those homes. And those companies are precluded from making those kinds of homes because the local governments have an incentive to increase the bureaucratic costs. Why? Higher home values, higher property values means more property taxes. All of this contributes. And you can see it directly. You have municipalities, they practice something called fiscal zoning, where they mandate larger homes specifically to increase property tax revenue and specifically to minimize the cost of public services. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but what about tiny homes? Okay, yes, they've become more popular, kind of a trend, but they are somehow getting smaller and smaller. George Michael's a fan of it.
Nice yards.
And then key fact number 4.
No garage.
Interest rates are obviously higher right now. Since COVID, interest rates on 30-year mortgages have nearly doubled. Now, historically, they're not super high.
No.
But they are higher now after an artificial bubble where they were artificially suppressed. So people who required no money down and had no business purchasing homes purchased them, right? So you had a flood, you had a bubble that was created, and now people who actually would be able to historically afford a home can't. So people who had no business getting homes got them in the name of equity. Remember that fun word? And now people who have done it correctly, well, they're priced out. To give you an idea, the monthly payment, let's say on a $410,000 home with 10% down, just using general figures, you can check all the references. Pre-COVID, your monthly payment would be about $1,600 a month. Now, it's about $2,250 a month.
Yeah. So that's just the mortgage payment. So we just talked about the median home price in the United States being around $400,000. That's $410,000. Put interest and taxes on that, and you're looking at about $4,000 per month for the median home
Right.
that you have to pay.
Right.
$48,000 per year. How much do you have to make to have $48,000 after taxes and after all other expenses to be able to afford that home?
Yeah. So
That's a ton.
And I am going to write out my solution here. But again, let's go through this just to recap. Okay, the reason that home prices are going up. Yep. Okay, we accept that. Bigger homes. Yep. More amenities. I get that. Sure. But what we also have is, again, cost of construction. Right, the increase overall have gone up across the board. We have institutional investors, foreign buyers in the game. We have, of course, illegal immigrants there who are contributing to it as well. There are incentives from regulatory bodies to increase the cost in red tape so that McMansions are built instead of first-time homes. That's something that's just not really being built anymore. And local governments, municipal governments taking part in that, as well as interest rates being high since COVID. And we kind of have to make up for what we did, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the housing crisis. All right, so what's the solution? I have a 6-point plan here. This is just a suggestion, a jumping off point, because people act like we don't know where to start. Number one, here's what you do. You ban the purchase of single-family homes by institutional investors. BlackRock, Vanguard, nope, can't do it. You restrict it to individual owner-occupiers, right, people buying homes, or small local providers, home providers. You set a cap on it, and you certainly have to live in the state. There's no reason that a company who is stationed overseas should be buying up all the property in Miami any more than there's a reason for someone in Texas to be buying all the property in Idaho. You want to flip some houses? Okay, great. Do it in your state. Do it in your municipality where you have a vested interest in it actually being a functioning community. So number one, ban that. That can't happen. That's not anti-free market.
No, it's good.
That's anti-market manipulation. Number two, only citizens and local permanent residents can buy homes with strict verification. No more illegal aliens can buy homes. And I'll get to even legal immigrants. We'll get to that. What kind of stipulations there? We verify it. I don't know if you know this. That's not the case. Many places in the United States. Number three, severe penalties for selling or renting to any illegals. That also means, of course, in combination with deportations being sped up and stronger borders. So we plug the hole, we start draining what's in the boat right now. Okay, number four, for legal immigrants, a renting period only for the first 2 years of residency. Meaning if you come here, you're on a visa, you have a green card, for 2 years, you have to rent. You know, like people who are coming up into the economy who are born here, going to college, what they have to do, they have to rent. Prevents an immediate shock to the purchase market, and it disincentivizes people who say, I'll just go to the States and I will buy a house, put 19 family members in it and ride it up. Nope. If you move here, hey, it's the cost of the most valuable citizenship eventually or residency in the world. That's number four. I realized my fingers weren't going on. Four. Number five, incentivize starter homes with tax breaks, basically a write-off. So that, well, that would be for individuals, sorry. Tax breaks for builders first.
Yeah.
So that's five.
They'd still write stuff off, yeah.
Yeah. To build entry-level homes. Because a lot of this is municipal, so it would have to be offset on a federal level. In other words, if your local government is going to say, actually, we're going to increase these costs and you're going to have to do this extra certification, verification, okay, let's nationally have something to offset that for builders so it makes sense for builders to build smaller starter homes. It shouldn't be the choice of a tiny home gimmick because there's a documentary on Netflix or a McMansion. That wasn't historically your choice, your only choice, I should say. We need to make building smaller starter homes profitable again, because that's your first step, right? You get a starter home and then you upgrade. That's what people used to do. It's very difficult to do now. Finally, number six, first-time home buyers get a tax write-off for their first year. Whatever you pay on your mortgage, that's now a write-off. Because a lot of hardworking Americans who are looking to buy a home, these are the types of Americans who typically pay taxes and they have to plan for a big bill at the end of the year. In some cases, when I rented, I could write off my home office far more generously than when I moved into a house and had the studio in my garage. My whole house was people lived in my house. Why in any world should we be incentivizing renting over buying? So if you're buying a home for the first time, that first year, whatever you spend, your mortgage, at least, that's a write-off. That's a deduction. on your taxes. So let me walk you back through it. 6-point plan, okay, just to make sure there's no misinterpretation. Ban of purchases from institutional investors or foreign investors on single-family home units. Only citizens, local permanent residents can buy homes with very strict verification, severe penalties for anyone housing, renting to, or selling homes to illegal aliens, along with increased deportations. An legal immigrant renting period for the first 2 years of residency. Incentivize starter homes on the builder side with tax breaks, tax credits, and then incentivize first-time home buyers with a tax deduction for that first year. Do I think that would fix everything? No. I think it would make a really big dent. And so you have to ask yourself, if these are reasonable proposals, why not? Why not? Why is nothing like this being done? Why is nothing like this being proposed? This is where people have legitimate grievances with the Republican Party and this administration. And ignore this. Hey, President Trump, ignore this at your own peril.
Yeah.
Ignore this, J.D. Vance. At the guaranteed failure of your presidential run next go around, you got to do something. And these are really very low cost measures to take. So why not? Well, we'll talk about why not.
Josh, what are you doing?
Securing my financial future, Gerald. What does it look like?
It looks like you're digging a hole, Josh.
Yeah?
That's what it looks like.
And?
Well, okay, why are you digging a hole?
For gold, Gerald. It's the best investment you can make. Something wonky happens to the economy, Armageddon, bombs start going off, everybody fails, banks fail. I got the good stuff. I'm set.
Gold?
Shh! Yes!
Josh, why don't you just try True Gold Republic? Why don't you give those guys a call or go to lwcgold.com, see if you qualify for one of those no-fee-for-life gold IRAs, and make it simple. It's easy.
It's really that easy?
Yes, you don't have to dig for gold. Put that down. No, put it down. That down.
I kind of like it.
Put that down. Let's go.
Let True Gold Republic help you safeguard your retirement with physical gold and silver. Go to lwcgold.com or call 800-628-4653. Sign up or call today and see if you qualify for a no-fees-for-life IRA.
Come on.
I'll tell you why. This is where people have a point. When people talk about APEC money, and APEC can go fornicate themselves with a wire brush, to be clear. Did you see their new ad, by the way?
No.
It was awful.
Oh, no.
Terrible. Talk about tone deaf.
Are they celebrating Christmas?
But they're not. No, come on now. Don't think smart with me.
Listen.
What about BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, too big to fail, giant banks? What about the Realtors Association? What about the SEIU? What about the Public Teachers Association, right? A lot of people take money from these entities. So they don't want to speak out again. You think any of them want to say, no, you guys can't, you can't take part in what has been one of your most profitable endeavors at the cost of home buyers in the United States of America. They don't want to do that. Certainly no Democrats want to do this. This is where and by the way, I'm pretty sure that I can say this, and Nick Fuentes will be okay with it. I was pretty clear that I disagree with him. This is where I disagree with someone like a Nick Fuentes, where, well, you know what? It's for the common good of the American people. It's not right versus left. You can't join hands with the left because they would never, ever, ever compromise on illegal immigration.
Right.
Let alone forbidding them from buying houses. Why? They want a voting base. And it's a conversation that'll happen. I think I can say that. Nick and I will disagree.
Yeah.
He'll show up. Isn't that something?
Weird.
And people condemn you for it. It's like, yeah, of course I would never link arms with the left. So there are a few reasons why these won't happen. Hey, do you think that municipal governments are going to try and push for lower regulatory costs so that home values don't go up? And here's the thing, I get it. If you're in a house, I understand you want it to go up in value. But I mean, I can tell you this. I bought a house for about $400,000. Nice house. I know that's better than most people can afford. I was very blessed to be able to do it, but it wasn't a mansion by any means in a nice neighborhood. Sold for like $800,000 only a few years later. That's not normal.
No.
If it would have sold for $550,000, I'm still getting out above inflation. Great. That's what people historically had. So, yeah, we need to correct the market right now because it's been artificially inflated and deflated, and people need to be okay with getting into a home and it in most cases, outpacing inflation, but you're not going to be making a killing so that other people can purchase home. You know, the way it was for the generation in the 50s, 60s, and 70s who purchased their first homes.
Yeah.
We need to be okay with that. It's the same thing as Social Security. It's a third rail. No one wants to talk about it because people go, oh, my house price is going up. I don't want to do that. Yeah. What if it just goes up, contextually in a way that's appropriate? Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Noodles?
I was just going to say, I was in a similar boat. I didn't sell for that well, but I bought low, sold high on a house. But what people don't take into account is, well, your house is raising in value, so is every other house. So it's not like you're going to get into a similar house for what you bought your original house for.
Right.
So.
Right. And I think that's a really key point, is that this is a store of wealth for a lot of people. This is what they pass down to their children after having lived in a home for 30, 40, 50 years. That's where it comes into play. Yeah.
Sure.
Not so much as like moving and going to another house. So I think a lot of people are thinking like, hey, I've got a lot of my, in a lot of cases, all of what I'm going to be able to leave to my children tied up in this asset.
Meanwhile, their kids can't buy a house.
Exactly. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So it's a really difficult problem that we have to solve, but I understand where people are coming from. What I don't like is the city involvement. Cities are never going to want less money and less power.
Right.
Ever. And so a lot of cities have ordinances on how many stories you can have buildings. And that's not to necessarily prevent like an office building from having a fourth floor. Right. It's to make sure you can't have high-rise apartments and complexes there, because it does put a strain on city services. It puts a strain on police. It also can, if you bring more people into a neighborhood that have lower rent prices than the homes surrounding it, typically lower economic people coming in, you change the makeup of the neighborhood, make it less safe, potentially a little bit more hazardous. Right? So I get it, and home value prices go down.
But you fix that if you go, hey, you need 10% down. Here's a reasonable interest rate, and we actually want to encourage more buying than renting.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
You definitely do.
I don't really see any pitfalls beyond like, maybe your home will appreciate quite a bit, not double. Not to be fair, in my case, I moved into a neighborhood where the median age was like 80.
That's true.
So a bunch of them died, and a bunch of younger people moved in and spruced up the houses. So it was very accelerated.
Yeah.
I mean, where I moved in the house, remember it had carpet around the toilets.
I do. And I'm like, why?
Oh, for the love of
It had carpet around the toilets. It was just an old man. Like everything was old.
But who does that?
Well, in Texas, everyone wants to look at a house and look. Sometimes it's their own fault. Like I want it to look brand new. They don't go, hey, I could change something. We just changed the carpet. We changed some paint. It was a great house. A lot of people go like, ooh, those old man skid marks right around the toilet. I don't want to.
I got AstroTurf around my toilet.
I have that, like at a dog park, the AstroTurf.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
It just goes down to some netherworld. I don't know.
I have turf. I didn't realize that with turf, you have to vacuum it.
You do.
Yeah, so it's
weird.
It's actually more work, but it did help me win the war with the spiders. I created a perimeter.
I can't afford a house. Wah, get a tent. Shut up.
Well,
was that you said you could fix it?
Yeah, that's it. One word.
Okay,
tent.
all right. Tent.
Yeah.
It worked beautiful in LA. See the sidewalks? It's gorgeous.
Good point. That's a good point.
No, it's a big problem.
It's rustic.
I think states need to take this over.
Bucolic.
So there's been some issues where local municipalities, they just get out of control. They really do. These people don't know what the hell they're doing. I've dealt with a lot of them. They are glorified failures in the rest of the business world that just go into city service. Not all of them. There's a bunch of people that are great, but like Texas at the state level has come into local municipalities and said, you can't do that.
Well,
you can't just make this random rule to keep people out of your neighborhood.
And by the way, it is blind to what kind of a culture you see in the community. So my parents lived in an area, knew their neighbors. They'd have block parties, right? Halloween. It was fun. They kind of would do like a trunk or treat. Now they're surrounded by Indians where my parents have the HOA call them because they have the wrong blinds in their front, in one of their guest bedroom windows, but the neighbor has a chicken coop and 14 Indian families who will never even greet you with a hello. That's the thing too. People come here, they'll take a job for 30% less than an American would do that job for, but they move in 19 extended family members and they buy up all the homes. That's an issue too. No, you come here, you have to wait a couple of years.
How about a moratorium on immigration?
Yep.
Legal, illegal. Shut the gates for the next 20 years. Seriously.
Outside of the actual brain drain, the most skilled people, where if you're bringing someone in for $1 million or CEO, sure. Some German engineer, we get it. We're not talking about you. And by the way, there are already avenues that exist. It's not H-1B.
It's Ted Kennedy. I still blame that ascle.
Yeah.
Should have shut the gates right after the last European came in.
Yeah, well, he was the only one.
He opened it to the world.
Yeah. The only person who did not have Marilyn Monroe open herself up to him. The only Kennedy.
That's true.
Who didn't get bedded by Marilyn Monroe.
That's true.
That's why he was so cranky. Get those.
I've seen her ass.
Get those godforsaken windmills out of my Cape Cod house. I'm sexually frustrated.
She's a hooah.
She's a hooah. Singing happy birthday.
Bobby.
Like, we don't know what she means by that. It's true.
I like to blow her skirt up.
Yeah, exactly. Marilyn Monroe. All right.
We have a video really quickly, just kind of a parting thought on this. If Republicans get this right, they'll win the midterms.
Yep.
If they get this wrong, it's going to be a very, very, very hard path forward.
That's what I wanted to talk about today. We're on something else, but it's all rigged. I'm more convinced than ever. It's a fucking rigged game.
Talking about the college football playoff, I agree, Nick. Anything else? I don't know.
Oh my God! Relax with Notre Dame. They'll be back in 10 years. No, but how can you have the worst president in history for 4 years and have this guy come in who might be the greatest ever? Did more than this asshole did in 4 years, and he does it in 6 months. Shut immigration. He's fixed a million things already.
Yeah.
How could it? Why is it even close? I don't believe it.
I'll tell you why.
I don't
I'll tell
believe
you why.
it.
I'll tell you why. And this is what Nick Fuentes was talking about, and this is what he can articulate it. A lot of other people cannot. He has a point. His solution is where I disagree. Is Donald Trump?
Is it a final solution?
Donald Trump. Well, with him, it could be. Donald Trump came in and all of a sudden was pro H-1Bs. That was a huge mistake. They've done nothing to help the affordability crisis. And the big mistake is when a lot of young people, they switched to Republican. They took a chance and they're going more of the same. Burn it all down. When young people who were a big voting bloc, right? They even broke with boomers and voted for Trump at higher rates. When they don't have anything vested in the system, they don't own a home. Right. They don't have savings or investments. They just go, you know what? Yeah. Hey, I don't have any skin in this game. Burn it down because they're disappointed with him.
Hey, how about grow the up? He's been in office not even a year.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so grow the up.
I get it, but H-1Bs are a big mistake. Big mistake, and that's gonna exacerbate the problem.
But the average voter doesn't even know what you're talking about. He's watching MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all the horse shit, all the same liberal lying media that's been this country for the last 40 years. They're singing the same tune and they're winning again.
Well, but
because they have the microphone.
No, Nick, you're right. You're right historically, but why the switch in the last several months? First off, there's a design civil war on the right where people are coming in. Everyone is accused of being a psyop right now, where no one can take opinions at face value. Young people don't trust anything. They're actually getting it from alternative media, and they're disappointed in some of the actions of Trump. In other words, you see a 30-something point swing from Gen Z men who voted for Trump, who I don't think they're necessarily liberal, but they're ambivalent. They're going, oh, the stuff that he said he would do seems like he's backtracking on it. And so so it's really rhetorical. If the rhetoric matched what he promised, you could win that back immediately. But instead he says, it's a hoax. There's no the affordability hoax. It's like, no, that's the stupidest thing politically. And I agree with you on all, but the stupidest thing politically is people living through this affordability crisis and hearing someone say, no, it's not a thing. That's retarded. And so the Democrats are going, see, he doesn't care about you.
You just said Gen Z guys who were voting for Trump.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah, but that's very little. That's a small number. You're talking about kind of liberal guys.
It's not that small of a number because a lot of boomers are dying off.
Guys, right?
No, Gen Z males broke for Trump in a way that no young that's what won him this election.
Yeah, but he already had. You're talking about guys that are voting for Trump for the first time, Gen Z guys,
right?
Who are kind of in the middle or left.
No, they're pretty far right.
It's not just Gen Z. Like Gen Z makes up a big part of it, but it's a lot of people who came to the coalition saying we're going to give this guy a chance because he's an outsider and he's going to do things differently. And I agree, but so I think where you really have to put yourself is not just thinking about Gen Z. I don't know where the cutoffs are exactly, but let's just call it, people in high school through maybe their late 20s right now. They're looking around going, this isn't working. And some of them, Nick, some of the prescription, like we said, is like, hey guys, life's tough, put on a helmet, right? But
oh, come on, don't do that.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, Candace stole it from Dennis Leary.
Oh, did Candace say that? I didn't even know that.
She stole it from Dennis Leary. Was the name of his album.
Life's tough. Put on some knee pads.
Put on a cup. That's what Dennis Miller said years ago.
Yeah, but Dennis Leary said put a helmet on, and then Candace sold it as a T-shirt.
I didn't hear that. Sorry, I didn't know that. That was completely my fault. So life is difficult. You're going to have to work very hard to make it in life. Okay, that's part of the problem. But the other part is, right now, you've got reports coming out weekly on how much of the U.S. job market can be replaced today by AI. Yeah. And kids are looking down the road going, crap, I've got student loans. I've got $100,000.
And that's Trump's fault?
No, hold on. It's not. It doesn't matter who's in office.
Well,
I'll
answer that. Yeah.
You got $100,000 in debt to pay off. The job market looks like it's drying up already right now. And looking down the road, you're like, well, what the hell? I've got nothing coming down the road. This isn't going to be very good. I'm starting to hear conversations from Andrew Yang back in like 2015 about UBI, and they're starting to make a lot more sense to me now than they did then, because I've got nothing. And home prices are double. I can't even get a home, even if I did have a job.
And even a job that's not given
Okay,
AI.
but he hasn't been in office for a year.
No,
I know, but the point is, when you go, okay, why can't I get a job? Two things, AI and immigration. And he wants more H-1Bs?
Right.
That's not what people voted for. In other words, he needs to be in, if he just fixed rhetorically, no one, I agree with you. You can't expect this to be fixed, and I think he did a lot more than Democrats did. The immigration issue alone. Of course, I wouldn't vote for anyone other than this guy or people of his ilk. But people see the rhetoric and they go, wait a second, he wants more H-1Bs. He's saying that we don't have skilled people. I have a degree and I've done everything I was supposed to do, and I'm being told there's no room for me. Oh, and by the way, it seems like more of the same with the big institutional investors and nothing's being done.
Those graduates are stupid because they've been taught nothing but Marxist horseshit indoctrination camp. That's why they're not qualified.
That would explain them always voting liberal, but it wouldn't explain them voting Trump and then going,
I'm not
this is
talking
why.
about voting. I'm just saying why they're not qualified to get a high-paying job.
No,
I agree, but neither are Hajis from the land of throwing poop. And they're winning.
I do think like there is a disconnect in Nick, and I think you're highlighting it. Unfortunately, there is a disconnect between people that are in, even I would go down to my age bracket and say my age bracket up to, retirement age, or people that are, close to dying, knocking on heaven's door. Not you, Nick. You're good.
Well,
Charles been
I'm
good
near,
to you.
I'm near retired.
No, it's a disconnect because we had to work hard, but we had the opportunity. We didn't have the same kind of economic situation that they are facing right now. And we certainly didn't have the same kind of job displacement disruption that they could be facing with AI. And so it's not an excuse. It's just saying, hey, listen, you have to realize what they're going through is very, very different than what I went through and what you went through.
I
when you
believe that. I
graduated.
just don't
they
see
are
how
being prepared for the workforce in a large part.
Voting Democrat is still asinine, but I do understand why people think Republicans.
They're voting socialist in New York. That's what happens.
But Republicans need to do. They do need to do better.
Yes.
In other words, it's an immediate visceral reaction. Where you go, okay, I voted for this guy. I took a chance. Uncap H-1Bs. What?
Yeah.
Right? Wait a second.
How many people are saying that, though?
A lot.
600,000 Chinese students at universities because you're worried about them? What are you talking about? Aren't they an adversary?
Some definite mistakes, and he could fix them. He could rectify them.
Yeah.
Maybe he will. Give him another fucking week.
That's Nick, you're right in that he needs to
But
be
you can be right all the way to losing midterms.
Yeah.
So I'm offering a prescription as to how to prevent those losses, and I'm telling you, I'm right.
All right, and I'm sticking with my guns. Once again, I am.
But let me ask you, am I advocating any kind of a compromise? Do you disagree with me when I say no H-1Bs? How about that? How about we shut it down? We should be doing that, right?
Yeah,
so I'm advocating something that's not a compromise that would help.
Well, I'm sort of agreeing with you, but I just told you why I don't completely agree with you on that. Because the kids graduating have been fed nothing but bullshit, not science, math, or anything.
Well, no, that's
some of that. I agree.
Some of it.
I agree.
But we have enough people here who could fill the jobs. They're doing it for 30% less than Americans, right? So in other words, I'm not advocating a compromise like, hey,
I hear you.
Pander and become Bernie. I'm saying follow through with what people expected. That's the winning strategy. That's the beauty in this.
Yeah.
And so the misstep is, I don't know who's in his ear, but this doesn't seem like the Trump who campaigned. It doesn't mean he's going to fix it right away. But between now and midterms, there need to be some wins in line with how he campaigned. It's no loss.
What if he stopped those H-1s and then look, all these kids that are coming out of college that are so stupid, then unemployment numbers go up.
I mean,
it's all connected, but I get what you're saying in the law, but we have to be a little more adult about it. I mean, literally, he hasn't been in there a year.
But that's not the point.
But do you disagree with anything that I just proposed as far as, for example, to help with first-time home buyers? No. Okay.
I wasn't listening.
They haven't proposed anything. Nothing at all.
They will.
That's the thing. He's got to be the guy.
He's got to start doing it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, how did we? And I know we lost Miami. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, the mayor race.
What is that about? Those are all people who hate communism and Marxism.
You would think so. Yeah.
Although it's younger.
But
probably.
Only 30-something thousand people voted. That's also something you're not taking into account.
Why was that? Now, explain that to me.
A lot of Republicans don't come out during midterms. A lot of them don't come out because they're working. So they don't come out during the in-between elections.
As much, yeah.
Right.
And so an important voting bloc are going to be parts of that new coalition. I'm never advocating a compromise of what we should believe, but I'm advocating following through.
I just can't picture, again, when people vote in a presidential election, they look back and they go, am I better off now than I was?
It's not that.
Well, no, that is part of it. Right now, there's a huge block saying I'm not because the inflation is not curbed.
That's what I mean.
I don't have a lot of options. So they're going.
The inflation's not curbed because the dickhead before him.
Sure.
That's why the numbers, he's bringing them down.
Sure,
I mean,
but it doesn't have to just say it's a hoax.
It has to take time.
I know.
Well, you're right.
We could say that. That's what I said he should say. He should come out and go, look, this was
should say-
accelerated.
that's right.
And by the way, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen when 30, 40 million, we don't know the number, are deported that'll change the supply-demand of housing? What do you think will happen when people on EBT who come to this country and it's going to give us a little bit of time. The tariffs are going to generate 1 point whatever trillion in revenue. But I hear you. Instead, he's going, it's a hoax. There's no affordability crisis. You can't tell that to people who are still living it. We're saying the same thing, but it's an ego thing where he can't just say, yeah, okay, there still is. We're not out of the woods yet. Let me tell you how we will be. Yes. It would serve this administration
absolutely.
well.
They're never good with him.
No.
I mean, he knows how to brand stuff, but you have to get into the details like you just did and some of the nuances instead of just coming out and saying it's a hoax, say why it's a hoax. And they're not that good at that.
And I agree with you. In general, young Gen Z people who are liberals, it's like, well, what are you doing with Uber Eats? Where are you spending your money? Are you drinking drip coffee at home? Right? All of this stuff. Could you make better financial decisions? A lot of those people, they just make horrible decisions. They feel entitled. But there is a significant portion of the population of young people who are ready, willing to work hard, and are fiscally responsible and are still boxed out anyway. So we do need to separate those two groups. Young, entitled, liberal pissants. We could deport them, as far as I'm concerned. Not as a matter of policy. I get it. That's illegal or frowned upon.
Whatever.
But there are young men going, hey, I did everything I was supposed to do. I've saved. I've avoided debt.
How old are you talking, a guy saying that?
In his mid-20s. In his mid-20s right now. A guy in his mid-20s today has less prospects as far as jobs and getting a home than someone in their mid-20s in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s.
Don't a lot of those mid-20 people don't want to work? Some of them just don't want to work.
But not the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who do.
Okay.
Yeah, and those people are still boxed out. So that is an indicator of a systemic problem that, yes, it's going to take a while to fix.
Yeah.
It doesn't help to say there is no systemic problem.
Right.
Separate the whiny feminist from like a young, clean-cut guy who's going, I've done it right, and I still don't have the opportunities, to me, that everyone in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s had a lot of the time.
Even 2000s
even early 2000s.
I graduated at one of the worst times.
At one of the worst schools, too.
Stop it. 2002, so right after the dot-com crashes, the airlines were struggling. In 2008, you had the housing market crash. Like, I was right in the middle of all of that, and I still had better prospects than people today that are coming out that have done it right and got a good education in a very usable degree, not just, underwater basket weaving or whatever.
I graduated a glorious time that blacks just became free.
I thought you said glorious.
Wow. But we'll see if so. Listen, he's got time. It's a year until the midterms, roughly. Call it 11 months.
Yep.
And he's got time to get his messaging down. Nick, to your point, 100% right, man. He's only been in office for less than a year. You got to give him time, but he has to be the guy that says, "I have a path to your future. Here is how we are going to lay it out." He has to get people to believe that he sees the problem and understands how to fix it. Not that he doesn't see the problem, because that's what he's saying right now.
JD's more eloquent with messages like that, right?
Yeah, he's better. But a lot of people are leery of him, rightfully so, because of the Palantir associations and AI. But that remains to be seen. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.